Shalom, everyone, and today we're studying Parashat Balak. Amazing Parashat, fantasy at its best. It looks like another book in J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. However, we had stories like this before. Uh, the 10 Plagues and the Exodus, that was a real duel between Moses and Aaron and the warlocks, the wizards of Egypt. We know, everybody knows who won. Now we have another chapter similar to that, and and the question is, what's in it for us? The story is that we just read last week's Parashat Chukat, how the Israelite, after 40 years in the desert, 40 years after leaving Egypt, now there are not just at the gates of the promised land, they are really making a real move towards moving in. They just do a detour, to the Canaanites, the dwellers of the country. They were sure the Israelites are going to attack from the south, from the Negev, like in the previous times. And now the Israelites are doing a big detour. They just go around in the Arabian desert. They go around Edom, around Moab. They negotiate with Edom and Moab to use their land as a road to get into the promised land. Both nations, Edom and Moab, refuse. The third one, or the Amorites, not just they refuse, they attack the Israelites and they lose. Now, from this story, if you read the Zohar properly, or you read just other commentaries, the war, like other wars at that time in the ancient Middle East, the wars were made first and for all in the metaphysical realm. It was a war first and for all between or among wizards. Dark magic. The whole world at that time was into dark magic. And when the Israelites are asking the Amorites for permission to pass through their land so they can reach the Jordan River, cross it, and get into the promised land, the Amorites in return, without any more negotiation, they just attack. Now, from the Zohar, the Zohar of this parasha, we learn that the attack was not just with an army, as the Torah is saying, it was also with an army of magical dark forces. Okay? This is interesting. Why is this interesting? Because that explains the beginning of this parasha. In the beginning of this parasha, I'm reading in the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 22, verse 2. וירא Balak ben Tzipor et kol asher asa Yisrael האמורים. And Balak, the son of Tzipor, he saw all what Israel did to the Amorites. ויגור Moab מפני העם, and the Moabites, Balak was the king of Moab, and the Moabites were really hysterical. They were very much afraid. That's verse 3. ויגור Moab מפני המאוד, כי רבו. ויקוץ Moab מפני בני ישראל. So the Moabites were hysterical about that the Israelites would invade Moab. And this is after we know that the Israelites were offering the Moabites, let us go through, we won't touch anyone. But, in politics, statesmanships, you don't trust your enemies, especially in such a case, in such an era. Even today, you can't trust anyone. It's all about interests, and the interests are what really are. So the Moabites are scared, although the Israelites simply just went around their land. Now the Israelites are camping after they conquered the lands of the Amorites from the northeast shoulder of the Dead Sea all the way to what is south of Damascus. And they took that area, huge area, that later on Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh settled in that area. Now, so the Zohar is asking, what is that Balak, the son of Zippor, what is that he saw when it says he saw all what Israel did to the Amorites? And the Zohar is explaining to us that Balak had a mechanism like a crystal ball. It was not a crystal ball. The Zohar says it was a magic that was called Tzipor, the bird. And through that magic, Balak could see what's going on in the metaphysical dimension. And over there, he saw how the huge power of Moses and the Israelites consumed the fire of the wizardry of the Amorites. So now, because Balak was hired by the Moabites to be their king, since he was also a great wizard. So now he realized that that wizardry that he has is not equal to the power of Moses. But he knew there's somebody else that together with him, they might have a chance. And that person is Balaam. Balaam was as the Zohar is saying, it says in many places, not just in the Zohar, Balaam was a wizard, even in the level of prophecy. Okay? When it says the Zohar is teaching us, and also I'm saying it's other places, when it is said in, we just get the text. Okay. In the book of Joshua, chapter, no, I'm sorry. So this is in Deuteronomy 34. It says, Velo kam navi od kemoshe. There was never a prophet again like Moses. Okay? And the commentator is saying, in Israel, however, among the nations of the world, there was a prophet like Moses. And who was it? Balaam. You can read that in the Zohar Perusha Sulam, verse 162. So, but this is quoted many other places. Balaam, which means, and as the Zohar continues, Umihu Bilam, who is Balaam? Moshe en kamo baktarim elyonim. Moses, there was no one like him in the upper Sefirot. Bilam, there's no one like him in the lower Sefirot, which means in the world of impurity, of darkness, dark magic. So this one was in the side of the holiness, Kedusha, Moses, and this one was in the side of the dark forces, which is the Tuma. ועם כל זה היה בידו וכל כך חזק בחוכמה, איש שהיה משבח את עצמו בכוח גדול, שכתוב אנוכי אקרא כה. So now the question that the Zohar is asking, if he was so wise, so powerful, so knowledgeable, otherwise he won't be considered to be great in power and wisdom and prophecy equal to Moses, of course, on the other side. So the question is, how did he fall? And we have to remember one thing, because we have always to take what's in it for us. Do we read Parashat Balak because we like the genre of fantasy and wizardry, bad wizards, good wizards, dark forces, light forces? Is that what we're reading it for? Or we want to derive from it something for our own benefit on a daily basis, especially this time of the year? And also, of course, basically the Torah does not tell us any story without a very clear message, and many times, and most of the times, a lot of messages. And the question is, what are the messages that we're getting this week from the Torah reading? So first of all, we take the big picture. Here it is. We see Balak and Balaam as the, let's say, the biggest wizards in the area after Sichon, the king of Emor, was killed in the war. He was also trying to use wizardry fighting Moses and the Israelites, and that didn't work. Now, Balak and Balaam are trying to do their best in order to destroy the Israelites. Now, all of that story, all along the story, till the end of it almost, the Israelites are not aware at all of the threat that is building of this coalition of evil being built on their borders. Just not far from them, they were camping next to the north of the border of Moab, where Balak was the king. And they had no idea it's happening. However, we see something very important over here. Balak, Balaam, the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Egyptians, where are they? They're gone. They're gone for good. But that state of mind, is this gone? Of course not. There are still a lot of people around the world who really do believe, have faith in dark magic. There are. From my experience, and I've seen stories, horrible stories. I'll tell you one horrible story. I didn't really believe in the power of dark magic till one day I was going on Ocean Parkway, Brooklyn, and I meet that lady. She was running with her husband. They were running a air conditioning business, and they were Jewish, from the Jewish community in Pakistan, and they were Jews in Pakistan before India got the independence. And she had a weird story about dark magic, dark forces, voodoo, and stuff like this. And I thought she's kind of, off. So I told her she had the Zohar. I told her to read, to read the Zohar. She knew Hebrew. To read the Zohar, and you can read the Zohar even if you don't understand Hebrew or also Aramaic. The original language of the Zohar is Aramaic, in order to get herself elevated. And I'm showing her, I had this volume of Zohar in my briefcase, and I take out that Zohar, and I had that Zohar with me for months, and I read that Zohar, that volume, front to back. I knew everything in that volume of the Zohar, and I'm opening like kind of with randomly in a page, and I look at this page and I'm reading, and it says exactly how do you make voodoo. You take a doll and all of that stuff. And I'm getting frightened. And my first reaction was run away, because that was too much. I don't remember ever reading that paragraph. So, and then I say, like, I can't leave her alone. It's like she's scared, she's attacked, she feels that she's being. So I told her, look, read what's here. And the only way to fight darkness is with light. So anytime you feel being attacked, open the Zohar, read it, and pray to God to help you. And it did work. It did work. But the question, and amazingly, she won those powers. Now, unfortunately, that was a person in Brooklyn who was using dark magic against her. And I met since then many other people that are using all kinds of witch doctors and shamans and whatever you call it, from either from the Caribbeans or either from New Orleans or from Brazil and other places in Central America. Really people knowledgeable, let's say educated, elite people in America using dark magic against their their competitors, business, love, all kinds of that stuff. People are still using that. It's not that common like it is in certain countries on the globe. But if you want to know which countries are using that the most, look around and see which are the most cursed, failing states on the globe. Deep inside, you will find sorcery, wizardry, dark magic, like the Canaanites. Finally, the Canaanites, finally, the Indians, if anybody who read stories about the Indian, the Aztecs. The Aztecs were not nice people. They had human sacrifices. They had a lot of dark magic. That that is terrible. Sooner or later, the nature of civilizations like this, or even personally, people like this, look at Balak, especially Bilam. You can be wise, you can be smart, you can have a lot of knowledge, but the moment you're using metaphysical wisdom and knowledge and understanding as dark magic, the end will always be terrible. Why terrible? Because what can we say? You read the Torah, this is basically using the forces of this universe in a terrible, terrible way. And why is it terrible? Because more than drugs, more than alcohol, more than other methods of high and buy, as I call it, you get the power and you mess up in the big picture. Doesn't work. Simply doesn't work. You want to understand why there's so many fading states. Many of them, it's because on the outside, they pretend to be monotheistic, but, there are many states, like countries like this, but deep inside, under the superficial monotheistic uh, facade, you have a lot of shamanism, basically dark magic. You can see it also with the study of Kabbalah. A lot of people, like, last Friday night, we had guests from all over the world, and we discussed the issue of Kabbalah, and some young boys came to me and said, so Kabbalah, can you tell me something I don't know about myself? And I'm asking, like, this is not what Kabbalah is about. Yeah, Kabbalah is about. The moment people, and that's one of the reasons why, for many, many centuries, it was prohibited for everyone to approach the study of Kabbalah. Why? Because there was fear people will study Kabbalah, so they want to do basically magic through which they're going to make power, money, political power, mental power, and all of that stuff, which, by the way, when we're talking about the 16th century, okay, that was the time of the great Kabbalistic center in Safed, and who was the chief teacher of that community in Safed, at Tzfat, in the northern of Israel, and that thriving Jewish community at that time, 16th century. Before Rabbi Isaac Luria, the greatest teacher of that time was Rabbi Moses COV. And Rabbi Moses COV did a translation and a commentary of a very big part of the Zohar. This translation is called Or Yakar, Precious Light. And in his translation on Parashat, commentary on Parashat Balak, he explains over there that the time has come for people to study Kabbalah, and he says, why is it? Isn't that prohibited? Because people could use their wisdom in order to hurt others and basically hurt themselves. And Rabbi Cordovero is saying, in our generation, the world is different. If people study Kabbalah without the true desire to transform and to improve and to get closer to God, they won't really understand what they're studying, and finally they'll have to let go of it. And ve'en knisato knisa, whatever they entered into, it's not called entrance because they won't get it. So therefore, you see a lot of people trying to study Kabbalistic books, but as long as your mind is not geared to spiritually improve yourself and go up the ladder, that's why Rabbi Ashla called his commentary Hasulam, the ladder, going up the ladder so finally you can reach the attic where all the treasures that the Creator prepared for you will be opened for you. But if you think that this treasure is egotistical power of money, politics, and stuff like this, you will not find the ladder and you won't get to the attic and you won't open the treasure box waiting for you over there. So Rabbi Moses COV is saying, therefore, it is not just allowed, but recommended. So everyone will study the Zohar because it will either give the person the ladder to go up the scale and finally reach the full potential of his life using the study of the Zohar and Kabbalah, or if the person has the wrong intention, he will get mixed up on the way and he will have to leave that study because he won't know what he was doing there. So yes, still people think that Kabbalah, even you talk about what people call even in Europe, like the Kabbalah, which means that like a secret people that are trying to have a secret order to take over the world, which all coming from the prejudice. If people know Kabbalah, you have access to wisdom about how this world is structured. The answer is yes. However, that wisdom is accessible only if you really want to access that wisdom from the proper place. And that's the right intention, which is, I want to use these forces of the Zohar for the light, which means increasing enlightenment in my own private life. And as a result, also to be able to be inspiration for other people. If this is not your purpose, do not touch Kabbalah because it's not for you. You get confused and you see a lot of people studying Kabbalah. They think they're studying Kabbalah. They come out with all kinds of weird proclamations. That happened for the last few centuries many times. It's like, what happened to these guys? They simply didn't get it. You have to get it in order to, but as I said, if you approach Kabbalah from the purpose of increasing your ego and your egotistic drive, leave it. You won't be able. You won't be able. So the question is, I remember I was reading that research some many years ago. Somebody was doing research about it. Even in the Soviet Union, they were doing psychic research about telekinesis, which is the ability to move objects with your brain, telepathy, stuff like this. They wanted to harness black magic for their own purposes. By the way, the Nazis did the same thing. What was the result? Okay, where's Egypt and Pharaoh? Oh, they're gone. Where are the Amorites and the Canaanites? Oh, they're gone. Nothing was left out of them. Where is the Soviet Union? They're gone also. Okay, all of these were the Nazis. That regime, that culture is gone. Just to tell us, as individuals, as a society, this is a very dangerous stuff to deal with. You look at Balak and you look at Bilam and you look at them as extinct cultures. They were extinct. Why were they extinct? The Torah is saying very simple. Their dark magic, their connection to the dark side basically destroyed them. When the Israelite came, The Israelites won the war against them not because they were so weak. That's one reason. They were not as strong as the Egyptians, but because they simply came to their end. And the Torah is explaining, they came to the end where it says, Ki lo shalem ha'evona emori em ad hena. When God is telling Abraham, you cannot inherit this land right now because the Amorites, the Canaanites, the locals in the promised land, their idol worshiping was not enough yet to extinguish themselves. You know what they say? The biggest enemy of a person is himself. It's not really true because the biggest enemy of the person is himself leaning towards the evil inclination. When you lean towards anything of dark magic or negativity, you will be consumed. So maybe you'll have a temporary gain, but this is not working. So how do I protect myself from dark magic? There's all kinds of people still till today doing that. And what we learn from Parashat Balak, first of all, is here are the Israelites. They are, excuse me, they mind their own business. And we can read very clearly when Balaam finally says he is trying to curse, and every time he's trying to curse, he finds himself, he tries to channel. He tries to channel to the dark forces. In that place, he's really authentic. He did not invent it. He was not a charlatan. He really knew his job. However, the Israelites at that time were so positive. So they simply were invincible. He was trying to curse, and every time he's trying to curse, he is blessing. And some of his blessings are the most amazing blessings of the nation of Israel ever. And you can still see his blessings coming true till today. When you look, let's say you read the book of Numbers, chapter 23, where it says, Hen am levadat ishkon, a nation that will dwell on its own. And you look, it's like, the whole world is ganging against Israel. Nothing new. We saw it before. And there's so many other prophets. It's like just to read that, especially to read it in Hebrew. In English, it's not that great. And of course, lo ibit aven beYaakov, there's no evil in Jacob. Ki lo nachash beYaakov, verse 23. There's no spelling in Jacob and no magic in Israel because it's something in a different level. So whoever says, oh, Kabbalah is magic, and no, this is not. This is something else. This is really learning how this universe is structured so you can join the process of the divine creation. And this is not black magic. This is basically joining the creator in completing his creation. And therefore, we realize what the Torah is teaching us, that the righteous people who do their own correction, their own tikkun, they basically partner with God in his job of completing the world. Why couldn't God create a world that is totally complete? So we know God created us in his image, and that means that we needed to feel independent, creative, giving, sharing. You can't feel that. You can experience that when you are in a perfect universe. Therefore, the God had to create this universe imperfect with evil inclination, with all of that stuff that we are getting so painful about injustice and so on, all the injustice that we see is there for us to step up, do something about it, and finally to basically find the image of God within each one of us. We're not here to badmouth the creation. We're here to join God in completing his creation so we can feel partners in the creation. So black magic is something else. You're trying to hack the system in order to get egotistical goals, and that is totally against the creation. So if you're trying to destroy the creation, destroy the vision of peace, completion, unity, and so on, you go against the creation, and you're trying even to create a regime of terror and fear and pain and anger and division. Whoever is taking that side is joining the dark side, and he is going, as we read in Parashat Korach, he is going against the direction that the universe is going in. And the moment you're doing that, you can't get out of it unhurt. So that brings us to the next issue. So first of all, the first one, just to summarize that, people want to be successful. And therefore, a lot of people go hysterical about fear from other people applying evil against them. And you can never know how many people plot against you any moment. You will never know. At work, neighbors, you have no idea. How are you going to protect yourself? Hiring a lot of surveillance mechanism? You know what? Doesn't work. It doesn't work. History shows that. Having espionage doesn't work either. If your brain is twisted, you will have all the information and you will read the numbers or the messages, the information, the intelligence. You will read it wrong. So how do you protect yourself? Here, the nation of Israel is camping on the River Jordan in front of Jericho. And they basically mind their business. They're basically doing whatever they should do, which means they have the tabernacle, they have the work of the temple at that time, they have the prayers, and especially it says, Matovu Olecha Yaakov, one of the most famous sayings of Balaam, how good are your tents, Jacob? What does it mean? And the commentaries are saying the Israelites, when they camped, they made sure that every tent faces a side that nobody else's faces. Why? So because of modesty. You don't want to expose your home to the neighbors, and you don't want to peep into somebody else's homes. And therefore, because of that, they were protected, which means it's not the voodoo and the magic you're going to exercise in order to protect your life. It is the light that drives away the darkness. How do you get that light? Simply being occupied in doing what is good. Simply being occupied in creating good in your life. There's charity, there's ongoing study of Torah and spirituality, especially ongoing study of the Zohar, which the Zohar says, again in Parashat Balak, today's protection, like Noah's Ark, is the Zohar. Having it, reading it, studying it, following the values that the Torah and the Zohar represent, that is the greatest protection. You don't know how many people can plot against you in any given moment. You don't want to know. You'll be protected. When were the Israelites vulnerable? It's when Balaam realized that you cannot penetrate them from the outside with your evil. You need to activate the evil from within. And we know that. When I cooperate with evil, I become that evil. And then it comes with the territory. It's a package deal. When we associate ourselves with anger, hatred, vengeance, revenge, and stuff like this, we side with evil. But I'm right. There's no mitzvah to be right. Okay? You have to be the light, not to be right. Did you notice that people are always right? They're very not nice. Now, being right is not what we are all about. It's about being generous. It's about being positive. It's about loving. It's about caring. It's about creating actions of greatness and mercy and kindness. It's about connecting daily, hourly, to the network of the tree of life. And that's what the Torah, that's what the Zohar is teaching us. If I'm focused on that, evil cannot enter my space, my domain. I am protected. So I don't need to create counter spells and stuff like this uh, to counter the evil. You just have to shine stronger. And in that case, but the moment somebody engages with me and I'm right, but I'm angry, I'm jealous, I am hateful, whatever. What's the difference between me and him? I am in the dark side. Although I'm right, being right again is not a value. It's not a value. Justice is a value. But also justice has to be done in a just way. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. So we have to remember that carefully, and being hysterical about your enemies, it makes you be part of the dark side too. Don't expect the light to protect you if you're not occupied in preserving your mind and spirit and body in the frequency of the light. This is the highest level of protection. So Balaam, when he sees, he's trying to curse a few times, 3 times. He's doing his best. He's really authentic. And then he's trying to channel curses, not curses, everybody can curse, to channel curses from the other world, authentic curses. And what comes out of his mouth is only blessings, and he realizes he cannot do that to them. And he tells Balak, his people, the Moabites and the Midianites, the only way you can destroy them is from within. The only way our enemies, if we have, can destroy us is from within. And that means we need to cooperate. They send their most beautiful girls to seduce the Israelites and to seduce them into, multiculturalism. We all love, and don't make war, just love. Let's make love, and you have to respect my tradition. So I'll pray to your God, and you come to me to pray to my God. And the Israelites flooded with positivity and make love and not war. They joined the Moabites and the Midianites, and they start to do idol worshiping. Then the darkness kicks in, and thousands of people die in the plague. Why is that? Darkness can hurt you only if you cooperate. But if you work very hard on focusing on being on that side of the light, the darkness cannot hurt you. You're not supposed to be afraid of it. No darkness or evil eye, all of that stuff. The moment you're obsessed, fearing them, you become them. Then you become an agent of that culture, of that dark side of humanity. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. So that's one thing that is very, very important for us to understand in that message. Now, the other side is repeating the same concept that we read before about the spies, about Korach, and so on and so forth. And the story is here Balaam, as a great kind of a wise man, okay, he has the wizardry and knowledge that nobody has in the level that he has except for Moses. And he does such a stupid decision. And we read the Torah, it says very clearly, when Balak is sending sending his messengers to Balaam, and he's saying, you know, we have this enemy, the Israelites, come to me, well, let's curse them together, and maybe we can drive them away. So Balaam is saying, I am the prophet of Hashem, the Tetragrammaton, the real true God, the only true God, okay? But I have to ask him because I'm his prophet. So he goes to sleep. And in his dream, it says, verse 12 in chapter 22, Vayomer Elohim el Bilam, and Elohim speaks to Bilam. Elohim, that's a name, in this case, that's an idol, it's an idol. That's a dark angel. He said that dark angel that Bilam is connecting to says as follows, Lo telech imaim, don't walk with them. Don't go with them. Lo ta'oret ha'am, do not curse the nation. Kibochu, and if you say, I want to help blessing him, he's already blessed, thank you, no thank you. Bilam in the morning gets up, and he tells the messenger, the dignitaries of Balak, Lechu el artechem, ki men Hashem lititi la'aloch imachem. Go back to your country because Hashem, Youdkevitch, the true God, refused to let me go with you. What can I do? He didn't speak with Hashem. He spoke with a dark angel. That's what appeared to him in his dream. That's what he was capable to tap into. But he claimed he spoke with God Almighty, the Lord of the universe, the King of all kings. Balak said, I know how to, how to make him come with us. He's sending bigger dignitaries with a lot of gifts and jewelries and gold and so on. And Balaam says, I'll ask again. I think you understand exactly the story. If you already had a message that was bright and clear, do not mess up, stay out of it. Why do you ask again? You know what? And when he asked again, what was the answer? Go ahead. Okay, you don't want to listen, do whatever you want. Sometimes we really want to know what's the right thing to do. If you're really simply connecting to enlightenment, we know what's the right thing to do. But because we have that side that, it's called the evil inclination, ego, lust, whatever, drive for power and money and whatever we want. Okay? We ask again. And the answer is, go ahead, do it, whatever you want. Well, you got the answer already. You know what's right. You want to do it? No coercion in spirituality. God will never force us to be righteous and good. Don't expect that to happen. You have to take total responsibility for that. So the Zohar is asking the same question. How come Balaam, such a great man, made such a mistake? He got the answer. Go ahead. He has another opportunity with the angel appearing that his donkey can see. He cannot see the great prophet cannot see what the donkey can see. Okay, never mind. But the point is, he says, he knows exactly why the angel says, if this is a message, I should go home, I'll go home. You got it already, go home. The angel says, you know what? I'm done with you. He goes. He tries to curse. He can't curse. Finally, he gives the bad advice, and finally, he is being killed later on by the Israelites because finally the truth comes out and his actions are being revealed. So what do we learn from it? And the Zohar is saying as follows. Verse 122 in the Zohar Sulam. אמר בי אלעזר, אמר בי שמעון, אלעזר, כל דבריו של בלעם הרשע קשים הם. All, whatever has anything to do with Balaam, the wicked Balaam, it's tough, it's hard. And we already learned about it. It's all dark side, it's all filth. And it says there was no prophet as Moses, but there was Balaam. Balaam could lead the nations, could show them the truth. He did not. He was busy making some personal gains. Moses went to Egypt and saved his nation from evil, and he did. He brought a message to the whole world. A small difference. And then the Zohar is asking, Bilam and Kamo Baktarim Atachtonim, we said there was no one like Bilam in the Sefirot of the tree of death. If he had all of that, he was so powerful with wisdom. But he was bringing praises for himself. Wise people usually do not praise themselves. He was praising himself powerfully, forcefully. So how come finally the Israelites managed to kill him? So the Zohar is answering, verse 163. אלא בספר החוכמה של שלמה המלך, in King Solomon's book of wisdom, אמר כך, 3 סימנים הם סימן לעבירה. There are 3 signs you can see on the person what's going in. סימן לעבירה הוא ירקון. If the person is sinful, that is ירקון, green. סימן לשטות הוא שמרבה בדברים. Stupidity can be shown by talking too much. סימן שאינו יודע כלום הוא משבח עצמו. If the person doesn't really know anything, he's full of praises for himself. וזה המשבח עצמו, the one who praises himself, מכריע כל השאר. He is like worse than all the others. כי שוטה הוא because he's a fool. And somebody who's a fool can be you can suspect about him any possible sin. Why? Being a fool means I am so proud of myself. I am the best. I am the greatest. Without any hesitation, without any self-awareness. Without any self-awareness, we are in danger. Which means that finally will lead us, because we don't know the rules of the universe. We think it's all about gain and force. And if you think that this is what life is about, you will fall, and whoever is going to be with you will fall together with you. So you have to be really careful about this stuff. So Bilam was sinful. He was a fool. He had a lot of knowledge, wisdom, but he was fool. Why? Because he had nothing that he takes. And what does it take to reach? As we said, you need to learn how to climb the ladder of spiritual growth. This is your only mission in life. However, if you're not aware to the rules of life, if you're not aware that there is a dark side and a light side, and it's a daily, hourly minute fight against this, against egotism, against negativity, against hatred, against all of those, what we call the evil inclination. And the fight is what gives you the ticket to enter higher and higher realms. Balaam, with all his wisdom, was not aware of that. So what did he turn in his wisdom into? He turned it all into a big black magic thing just to empower his own ego. What was the result? Terrible for him. His life ended. And that's why it says, והרי כתוב יעלה לך זר ולא פיך. Here it says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, have other people praise you, don't have your mouth to praise you. שאין דבר בעולם שאדם ניכר בו, אלא בזמן שפותח פיו. The best way to tell about a person is when he opens his mouth. פיו מודיע לבני אדם מי הוא. Consciously or subconsciously, your mouth will tell the world who you are. And therefore, you have to be really careful about working on your spiritual growth. So here it is. We have the dealing with black magic, with evil, with injustice. And the answer is you don't deal with it. You are really have to focus on creating positivity. When you create enough positivity, you will be able to know how to fight negativity. But don't try to waste your energy on fighting negativity with all kinds of magical dark stuff, whatever, slash, witchcraft, spells, and so. It can work in a while, and that's what's really dangerous about it, because then your fall will be bigger, deeper, and more painful. On the other hand, the wisest people, as we've seen, including Balaam, the moment the ego kicks in, the moment you do not put in the picture the welfare of your immediate society, your far-scale society, the planet, humanity, if this is not on your mind, restart. And if it, because otherwise you can be wise, skillful, whatever you name it, and you will fail because you need to have the commitment, the covenant with the essential divine rules in order to be successful. You see around the world also failing states today. Why are they failing? It's not, the biggest problem is not idol worshiping, but it is. It's a form of idol worshiping. We don't have any more monotheistic values and rules. We follow whatever feels like good. That's idol worshiping. The moment you're disconnected from an eternal scale of values of the Torah and you replace it with man-made, that is always having kind of an agenda of something, somebody making a profit on you, this is super, super dangerous. So we have to stick to the laws of the Torah, go deep into how to apply it in everyday's life. And that's where success lies. Thank you, everybody. Good luck with this hard journey, especially in our generation. Values and commitment, okay? Do not chase the darkness. Chase the light. The darkness will go away by itself. Thank you so much and have a great week.